What's up guys? Today we're going to be talking about using manual focus on your Sony a6000. We're going to go over A, how to set it up, B, how to practice, and C, why you should actually learn how to use it. So let's just get right into it guys. So first up, why should you learn manual focus? There's a couple of reasons. The first is, of course, as you've probably noticed throughout, practicing photography, autofocus can sometimes just trip up. It just misses focus, for whatever reason, It's a computer algorithm pretty much that controls the autofocus, and sometimes it just messes up. Next up, if you're shooting through transparent objects such as glass or plastic, something like that, typically, if you're shooting through rain on a window, autofocus would try to focus on the window pane itself and not what's on the other side. Using manual focus is a good way to shoot through glass and that sort of thing. Next up, low light conditions. At night especially, autofocus can definitely start to trip up. If you're taking pictures of the night sky, for example, you're going to be using manual focus 99% of the time. In macro photography, sometimes autofocus trips up because, you're trying to focus on such a tiny object, and usually if you're focusing on a flower or a leaf, it might be moving in the wind a little bit. So oftentimes you'll need to dial in your focus manually and not rely on autofocus completely. And then finally, the last reason is there's just a massive collection of manual lenses, from vintage lenses. There's a video link up there somewhere to my vintage lens video. And then there's just so many budget-friendly manual focus lenses. I'm using on this camera the Mikey 35mm. It's $70 and it's amazing, but the only caveat is there's just no autofocus. So learning how to use manual focus can save you a lot of money, and then of course it's just enjoyable. One of my photography friends pretty much said his view on it is it gives your other hand something to do. You're constantly manually focusing the lens instead of just shooting with your hand like this. So before we do anything, there are a couple of settings we need to change on the camera to make manual focusing possible and easy. So the first thing we're going to do is hit the menu button, go over to the second tab, the gear icon, page 3, and then you're going to turn on the release without lens option. Enable that, and what that does is it lets the camera shoot with lenses that don't have electronic contacts, aka manual lenses. Next, we're going to enable focus peaking. So we're going to go to page 2 on the second tab here, and we're going to set our peaking level to high, and then you can choose whatever peaking color you'd like. I put some B-roll up on the screen here, but peaking pretty much outlines and highlights things that are in focus, so it makes it very, very easy to kind of lock in and see that you have in focus quickly, so you don't need to zoom in a bunch of times. And then speaking of zooming in, finally we need to set up the focus magnifier button. So we're going to go up to the gear icon here, the first setting, and then we're going to change the focus magnifying time to probably about 5 seconds, or you can set it to no limit. And then finally, we need to bind the focus magnifier to a custom button. So we're going to go over to page 6 here, custom key settings, and then you can set any of your buttons to the focus magnifier. I prefer setting it to the AEL button up top, just because it's nice and easy. And what this does is now when you click that custom button, it is zoom in, essentially digitally zoom in, so you can see precisely what you have in focus. And now that you've got the settings set up, now if you're using an autofocus lens, you just go into your, hit the FN key and switch your focusing mode to NF. Otherwise, if you're using a manual lens like I am, you're just ready to get going. Something that helped me a lot when I first started out was lining up objects on a flat surface, on this table right here, and then just slowly spinning the focusing ring and watching things come in and out of focus. And I should mention, every manual lens has a bit of a different character, so to speak, and it's kind of you got to practice with each lens, so to speak, until you start to get used to the minimum focusing distance and how quickly, I guess you could say quickly, the focusing ring spins around and that sort of thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it for manual focus, guys. It's actually pretty easy once you get the hang of it, and I would suggest just, like I said, get outside, start practicing, photograph everything. And yeah, if you guys are interested in the lens that I'm using, like I said in the beginning of the video, this lens is $70. I'll link a video of my review somewhere up here if you'd like to go check it out yourself. I've had this lens for about, I think, 2.5 years now, and it's been amazing, especially for costing $70. But yeah, that sums up the video, guys. If this was helpful to you, please consider liking, and don't be afraid to comment if you have any questions. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much.